So in just a few days, the NBA draft will be happening. This is a time where teams get to select new young talent to come into the NBA. Nearly every season there's new stars and very important players who come into the NBA during the draft. And this 2021 NBA draft is actually started as one of the more talented draft classes over the last few years. It has many prospects who have star potential. It has many prospects that seem like they could be good NBA players even further down in the draft. So I'm pretty excited about what this draft holds. So in today's video, I'll be giving my own NBA mock draft from the number 1 pick all the way to the number 115 pick. I'm gonna start at the number 1 pick and work my way down all the way to number 15. And I'll talk in a bit about like each player and why I think each team was selected. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this and to help me reach a goal of 1,500 subscribers. Drop a comment on this video whether or not you like agree or disagree, and play that intro. With the first pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I think the Detroit Pistons will select Cade Cunningham. And out of every single pick in this entire draft, the Pistons will clearly choose Cade Cunningham. That's the most obvious selection. I guarantee you they're not choosing anyone else. And I'm not even saying that because that's what I think. It's a fact that no one else is going number 1 besides Cunningham. Cade is a 6'8" point guard who can shoot the ball very well off the dribble and he can create his own shot. He also has very good handles and he's a very good playmaker. He finishes very well at the basket. And a lot of people think he can be a superstar level player. He has the highest potential out of anyone in this draft class. I think he's a guy who could like be a franchise cornerstone, like the guy you build your team around. And I think if Detroit gets him, it will really help them for the future. Obviously, a lot of people don't want to see Cade go to Detroit because they think they're gonna like ruin his career and stuff like that. And I don't know, but there were some rumors how they wanted to trade the number 1 pick, but I don't think they will. Like the rumors have like died down. But Cade is definitely going to be selected number 1 by the Pistons for sure. Book it. With the second pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets will select Jalen Green. Green is a guy who most people think has the second highest potential in this draft class due to the fact that he's a player with great handles as he has the ability to create his own shot. He's probably the second most athletic player in this draft as he has a crazy high vertical and he has a really fast first step that allows him to get to the rim easy. His jumper is inconsistent, but he's definitely not a bad shooter or anything like that. He's not much of a passer, but due to his height and athleticism, you would hope he could be a solid defender. Green also has a lot of confidence and he just seems like a guy who has the confidence to be a star player and he has the skills to go along with it. I think Houston will select him since they don't really have any like great guards right now outside of Kevin Porter Jr. And I think a duo of Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. would be a really nice backcourt. Also selecting Green would allow Porter Jr. to continue to play the point guard position where he was playing his best brand of basketball. And honestly think if Houston drafts Jalen Green, the rebuilding process will be going in the right direction. With the third pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers will select Evan Mobley. Mobley is a guy who seems like he'd be a perfect modern day NBA center as he has very good defensive instincts and he can switch on to many positions. He's also a really good shot blocker and he just has really good hustle on the defensive side of the floor. And on offense, he's a guy who can score in the post, finish at the rim. People like to compare him to guys like Chris Bosh or Pau Gasol. He has solid post moves and although his jumper is far from good, he has shown confidence to be able to take them at times, meaning hopefully in the NBA someday he could turn into a solid shooter. But Mobley is a guy who I think has star potential. He might not have the same exact superstar potential that guys like Jalen Green or Cade Cunningham might have, but he definitely has like the potential, but not as much as them. But he definitely shows me that he could be one of the better NBA centers in the league due to the fact that he could just play perfectly in today's modern NBA. He's one of the best big man prospects since guys like Anthony Davis and Karl-Anthony Towns, and that's pretty big praise. But I definitely think he's gonna go to the Cavaliers, who are also in need of a center, since there's been rumors that they don't want to pay Jarrett Allen big money. With the fourth pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors will select Jalen Suggs. Suggs is just a very smart point guard. He's a 6'4" athletic point guard who's very athletic. He can get to the basket really easy due to his great handles and his great first step. He also is a really good passer and he's always looking to pass to his teammates. I would even maybe call him a fast pass first point guard at times. He doesn't have the best jump shot, but he has pretty good form, so we would hope he could improve in the future. He's also just a very smart player. He doesn't doesn't turn the ball over that much. Right now it looks like Kyle Lowry's gonna be leaving the Raptors, whether it's like sign and trade or he just leaves, and that frees up space open in the like point guard position. Toronto has a few guards who are pretty good in Fred VanVleet and Malachi Flynn, but none of those guys are good enough to where you don't select Jalen Suggs if he thinks he's the best player at this point in the draft, and I do believe that is going to be the case at this point in the draft. So I think Toronto will select Jalen Suggs to be their future starting point guard. He could even play the shooting guard position because he's also a really good defender. With the 5th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I believe the Orlando Magic will select Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga is a 6'8" forward who's really athletic. He has the ability to shoot. He's not a crazy shooter or anything like that, but he can create his own shot at a decent level. He's also really good when it comes to attacking the rim due to his height and athleticism. He's a guy who looks like he can be a really good defender in the NBA due to his height and athleticism and the fact that he has great lateral quickness. I think he can be a two-way star in the NBA. I think he has great potential. I think in Orlando he would start immediately, which would really help him straight out the gate for his development, and I honestly think he has star potential, as I said. So I think the Magic are going to see that and try their best to secure him with the 5th pick. With the 6th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I believe the Oklahoma City Thunder will select Scottie Barnes. Barnes is a 6'9" forward. He has a lot of similarities to like Draymond Green due to the fact that he's a really good defender due to his height and length. He's very athletic and quick for his size, and he's a guy who I think will be playing the power forward position. He could like switch on to like nearly any position, maybe outside of some like big centers, but he's actually a very strong player, and on like the offensive side of the floor, he's pretty good at attacking the rim due to his speed, strength, and quickness. His jump shot definitely needs some work at this point. I would say he's not a good shooter, but at least he has the confidence to take them, so maybe there's a chance in the future he can improve. And when it comes to his playmaking, he's a guy who rarely misses open teammates, and he's not a selfish player at all. And when I look at this Oklahoma City young core, I think he'll fit right in, and I don't know if he's like a guy who has like star potential or anything like that, but I think he has the potential to be the ultimate role player and be one of the better defenders in the NBA. With the 7th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I think the Golden State Warriors will select Davion Mitchell. Davion is a 6'2" point guard who's a pretty older rookie since he's 22 years old. That's both a positive and a negative, since you would assume since he's like older, he could come straight into the NBA and like help you win games and be an impactful player, which is what the Warriors need. But since he's older, you would also assume that his potential isn't as high as some other young rookies. But Davion is a really good like player. He's a really good shooter who can shoot off the dribble. He's a really solid passer, and he plays well in the team system. He can also create his own shot at a decent level, but where he really stands out is on the defensive side of the floor, as he's one of the better defenders in the draft due to his strength and quickness and his fast reflexes. He can guard a lot of guards and do a really good job. He's probably the best perimeter defender in the whole draft, or at least one of them. I think the Warriors will select him because right now they're looking to try and compete and make a deep playoff run, and I think they don't want to select a rookie who's going to need time to develop and things like that. They want a guy who could come straight out the gate and really help them. I think that's exactly what Davion can do. With the 8th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I think the Orlando Magic will select James Bucknight. Bucknight is a 6'5" guard who has a lot of athleticism and quickness. He's mainly known as a guy who could score the ball at a really good level, since he has a very good like handle and has a great ability when it comes to finishing at the rim. He also is a really good shooter who could create his own shot from both the mid-range and three-point line. To point out some of his weaknesses, the fact that he's shown that he's not like great on the defensive side of the floor, as he doesn't put in enough effort. He's also very skinny and can get muscled out by like bigger players, and at times he can like be overconfident and shoot his teams out of games. But he is like a guy who I think has star potential, because any guard who could score the ball at that good of a level has star potential, but it's just whether or not he can reach it. But everything else surrounding his game is pretty decent. He's a really good rebounder for his height. He pretty much isn't like much of a passer, but nonetheless I think this would be a really good selection by the Magic. With the 9th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I think the Sacramento Kings will select Franz Wagner. Wagner is a 6'9" small forward. He's a guy who seems like he could be a solid role player, as he's really good at finishing at the rim. He also is solid at defense for his size, and he's a really good rebounder. He's not a great shooter, but he's not a terrible one, and he's pretty solid, but he's not like some knockdown three-point shooter. He's also a really good defender, which is exactly what Sacramento needs, as he's really good at protecting the basket, and he can switch on to many positions, and he's actually a really good passer for his position, as he has the ability to make certain passes that players his size usually can't. can't. His weaknesses is the fact that he's probably not that athletic and he can't create his own shot, so he's going to be depending on other players to do that for him. I don't think he's a guy who has like star potential, and I think Sacramento will select him because their front court depth is pretty weak. They also need some guys who could even play some defense, because they weren't just one of the worst teams like defensively in today's NBA, they were one of the worst teams defensively in NBA history. So they definitely need some guys who can even play defense at a decent level. With the 10th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Keon Johnson. A lot of people might be surprised that Keon's fallen this far, but I honestly think he will, because Keon is the most athletic prospect in this draft, as he had like a 48-inch vertical, which is absolutely nuts. He's also 6'5", and on the defensive side of the floor, he's one of the better perimeter defenders in the whole draft. He's very athletic, he has great lateral quickness and fast reflexes and things like that. But when it comes to the offensive side of the floor, Keon has like decent handles that allow him to get to the rim, and he finishes very well, but he's not a guy who could create his own shot at all. He also can't shoot at all. He's not a good shooter, not even an okay one. He's actually a bad one, and I feel like that's going to scare a lot of NBA teams from drafting him, because although it seems like he could be a really good defender in today's NBA, you have to be able to shoot at least like at a decent level or be able to hit open threes. It doesn't seem like he's a guy like that right now, but maybe he could be really good at other things, kind of like a Bruce Brown, but I don't think he's going to like go as high as most people think. I see him more as a role player for sure, definitely not a star. If he becomes a star, I'll be really surprised. I think the Pelicans, with the potential of like Lonzo Ball leaving this free agency, they could definitely use some defense at the backcourt position. With the 11th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I think the Charlotte Hornets will select Kai Jones. Jones is a guy who I think is going to go way earlier than he's projected to in the draft. This is because the Hornets are in desperate need of a center, and this past season they were literally playing Bismack Biyombo and Cody Zeller significant minutes at the starting position for the center position, and those guys are pretty terrible. And then when you realize that both of them are free agents, and it's kind of like there's a decent chance they both will leave, Charlotte legitimately might not have any centers on their team. So I think Jones, who would be the best center at this point, who is available and stuff, definitely makes a lot of sense. Jones is a 6'11" center who is very athletic. He has incredible agility. He's not much of like a mismatch when he's defending like shorter guards and faster players, because he's really fast. He can switch on the perimeter, which is something definitely like you have to have in today's NBA. He's also a very good rebounder, as he plays with a lot of energy. Something the Hornets definitely could use is a big man who can shoot, and Kai Jones can do that, as he did shoot 38% from 3 in college, and he can even handle the ball at above average level for his size. I don't know why he's ranked so low, but this guy seemed like he honestly like be the steal of the draft. But he does have weaknesses, and they are the fact that he is really inexperienced and he's a really skinny center. He also might not have the skills necessary to play at the NBA level straight out the gate, but I definitely think he's a guy who the Hornets should select, because I truly believe he's going to be one of the steals in the draft. I'm predicting from now he's going to be a good fit alongside LaMelo, because LaMelo can set him up for an easy lob. With the 12th pick in the NBA draft, 2021 NBA draft, I think the San Antonio Spurs will select Corey Kispert. Kispert is the best shooter in the draft. And he's not just a shooter who can shoot, catch, and shoot threes. He's a guy who can hit them off the dribble and even hit contested ones at a really good level. He also can attack the rim at a decent level, and he does it with both hands. The downfall of him is the fact that he's not that athletic, and he's not like a guy who I think is going to be a star, and he's an older rookie, and he's not even really that good of a defender, but he is 6'7", so I would hope he could be decent, but he's not really athletic. I think the Spurs are a team that desperately needs more shooting, and I think adding the best shooter in the draft will obviously help them. With the 13th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I think the Indiana Pacers will select Josh Giddey. Giddey is an overseas prospect, and he's a 6'8" point guard. He's a pretty raw prospect, but he's shown the ability to have solid handles. He's also a really good passer, as he can make exceptional passes, especially out of the pick and roll. He's probably one of the better passers in this draft class. He's very smart. He just knows the game very well. He barely turns the ball over. Weakness is the fact that he's not athletic at all. He can't really shoot, and he can't create his own shot. He's also not much of a scorer. He's also the 3rd youngest player in this draft class as a whole, which is a positive. So I think like he's a prospect who's going to take a few years to reach his full potential. And I feel like on a winning team, on the Pacers, like where they're actually trying to win and make the playoffs, he can learn a lot from guards like Malcolm Brogdon. I don't think he's going to really help Indiana maybe the first 1, 2, or maybe even 3 seasons, but in the future, I think he has potential to be like a steal. With the 14th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I think the Golden State Warriors will select Jalen Johnson. Going into this year, Johnson was projected to be a top 10 pick, but he fell after disappointing a bit, and he famously left Duke in the middle of the season to transfer to the NBA draft. He's an athletic, strong 6'9" forward. He's really good on the defensive side of the floor as he can switch a lot of positions. He can also really help like to get weak side blocks and things like that. He has really good handles for his size, and he's a decent enough passer. He's also really good in transition. Weakness is the fact that he's an inconsistent shooter. He doesn't have that much moves, and also sometimes he does like dumb passes that result to turnovers. I definitely think like he's gonna be a guy who could be maybe a solid defender off the bench in his first year, and I think he could fit that role because I don't really know if he has star potential or anything like that, but I guess we'll see. With the 15th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards will select Alparen Sengu. Sengu is a prospect who played overseas. He really impressed over there, and he's a really young player. He's also a 6'9", 235-pound center. He's amazing when it comes to finishing at the rim, and he's really good at attacking the glass, and he's good at protecting the rim. Negatives about him is the fact that he can't guard the pick and roll whatsoever, and he can't really switch on the perimeter players at all. He also has the confidence to shoot three-pointers, but sadly they don't go in for him, so I doubt he's going to be a stretch 5, although he does have like really good potential since he is a pretty young player. He reminds me more of like a traditional big man, and I don't think this is a smart selection by the Wizards, because I know some people are going to be like, oh, what about Moses Moody or some other random people? I feel like the Wizards are idiots and they're going to choose this guy because they are kind of in need for a big man, but I guess we'll see. But to conclude the video, I just want to say this draft class looks really talented, and although you might disagree with what I said, you can just say it in a respectful manner and tell me why you disagree, like with who is who and where. You also have to realize that there's literally 15 prospects. I'm not going to get every single one right. I'm just giving my own opinion. Have a nice day. But anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know what you agree or disagree with my mock draft. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want more NBA content like this. And if you want to help me reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers, drop a comment on this video, start a conversation, as I do respond to all of my comments. And I'm out.